guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. So in case you didn't know, now you know, I'm expecting. I am actually 23 weeks and 2 days today. So my due date is set for November 17th, not November 17th, November 19th. We're super excited for this new chapter in our life and excited to share the info with you in case you don't follow my vlogs where I have announced it on there. But basically I just wanted to share with you guys what the journey to parenthood has been like for me so far. Since I'm a little over halfway, I kind of just wanted to share what the first trimester and then part of the second trimester have been like. So I'm just going to start off by sharing with you how we found out we got pregnant. So if you'd like to know more of how it's been like for me, then just keep on watching. So I believe it was early March. We were out eating dinner. It was me, my husband, and my mother-in-law. We were eating tacos and we all three ordered tacos. I think I got barbacoa, but they certainly weren't the barbacoa that I was expecting. So I was a little disappointed, but anyways, I started eating mine and I started to get nauseous. I am not really typically the one to get nauseous when I'm eating, or I don't get grossed out like that basically. So I thought it was odd and I just told my husband and he was like, it's fine, if you want we can just trade. So he had gotten asada. So we traded and I took a bite of his. After a couple bites, same thing. Like I felt nauseous and I was kind of grossed out. I was like, okay, I think something's wrong or something's up. I told him, I was like, I think I'm pregnant. I said it while we were at the table, and his mom kind of stopped, and saying that I think I'm pregnant wasn't really something new for us because we had been trying, and it wasn't the first time that we thought we were pregnant. So he kind of brushed it off and was like, okay, you know, maybe, I don't know, you're just feeling nauseous. So I wasn't able to finish those tacos. I ended up getting one of my mother-in-law's and the same exact thing happened. I could not finish it. So I was like, yeah, we definitely need to go get a test. So there was a CVS down the street. Even to the point where we left the restaurant, my husband thought I was just kidding about getting the test. So I was driving and I started driving towards the CVS and he's like, where are you going? I'm like, we need to get a test. I'm telling you, like, something's off. Like, this is not normal for me. And it was funny because out of all the times that I've purchased a pregnancy test before, no one had ever told me anything. The cashier had never mentioned anything. So this time she was like, was it a girl? Yeah, it was a girl. And she was like, good luck. And we just kind of looked at each other and smiled. So we went to my mother-in-law's place because I believe my husband was going to help her with something. So I went in to the bathroom while they were doing that and I took the test. And of course it was positive. So I come out and I was speechless. I just like couldn't believe it at the same time. And my husband was still like, no, you're pranking me, like, no. And it was so funny too because even like I knew something was up, but whenever we pulled up to her place, I joked. I was like, excuse me, I joked and I was like, oh, we should have gotten like a pregnant lady to pee on it. But little did we know. So anyways, so then my mother-in-law went into the bathroom and she was like screaming. She was so happy. And my husband was like, you guys are pranking me. And so then he goes in there and then he comes out and we're like laughing and crying and we're just so happy, and like at the same time it's like, oh my gosh, like we're having a baby. So in my head, way before I got pregnant, in my head I had kind of like planned out how I wanted our family to find out. I wanted to do, you know, something cute or whatever. None of that happened. We were so excited that he started calling his family like right away, well, part of his family. And then I called my family later when we got home and I was FaceTiming them when we told them. So everyone's super excited that we're having our first child. So now I'm just going to start off with what the weeks have been like up until this point, or at least up until 20 weeks. We found out very early. We found out actually when I was barely 2 weeks, which we thought that because we found out so early compared to other, or at least compared to most people, we thought that it was gonna like just feel like eternity, and it really hasn't. It actually has felt like time is going by super fast. Between week 3 and like 4 or 5, I started spotting. So at first when I told my doctor, they said it was implantation bleeding, which is really what happens in the very beginning when the fertilized egg implants basically into the uterus, or onto the uterus. You can sometimes shed some blood, and it was like implantation bleeding because it wasn't a whole lot. It was just, like I said, spotting, and it was sometimes it was brown. However, that usually only lasts 7 weeks. Mine lasts not 7 weeks, I'm sorry, 7 days or so. Mine lasted about 2 weeks, 2 weeks and a half. So that was a little bit scary. So, you know, like I said, I did let my doctor know. And they said because, you know, I wasn't like soaking up a pad or anything, then I should be fine. Sometimes that happens. So, luckily, you know, as far as we know now, like everything has been going on great. So that was in the very beginning. And then around week 5, also, like, you know, the first trimester, in the beginning of the first trimester, I did experience some queasiness. I wouldn't say it was full-blown on nausea for the most part. It was just like, it was that morning sickness. And another thing, morning sickness, that term is very deceiving. It's not necessarily just in the morning. Mine was actually night sickness, and to the point where it would literally start as soon as I hit the bed. And it was a little frustrating because it would not allow me to fall asleep. Like, it was just uncomfortable. I know some women though experience it like in the beginning and then throughout the whole day, and then not really at night. Mine was mainly at night. As far as any like food aversions or anything, food cravings, I really still do kind of crave mostly. Well, I can't say mostly. It was either like I would crave something that I would see, or like it would be really gross. Mainly it would be really gross, like a picture. But then like fruit, like stuff like that, oh, I had to have it. And then as far as like food aversions, really I think the only main thing was chicken. I could eat it if I bought it from the store or anything, but if I made it, I could not stand the smell. And I think that's the case even now. In the very beginning, it was like super bad. I remember one time cooking chicken and we had left and we came back and it stunk like chicken. And mind you, when you're pregnant, of course, you know, those senses are magnified. So it was like 10 times worse. And we came in and I told my husband, I was like, I can't, like I was gagging. I was like, I'm going to the bathroom. I was like, can you please deal with that? Like spray Febreze or something, because I was gonna throw up. So thankfully he took care of that. And then, like I said, I would gag. Sometimes it was the smell, and then other times it was just randomly, like maybe when I was eating, or even, I don't know, just thinking about something, I would gag. And then around week 5 was also when like I started getting tired. And I remember one time in particular where I felt like a truck had run over me. That's how tired I felt. Like I couldn't even keep my eyes open. It was like a type of fatigue that you've just never felt before, at least I hadn't. And around week 10 is kind of when I felt the queasiness go away. Right before that, I did get one of those, or those C-bands that you can get at Walmart, or like a drugstore. It basically has a little ball that goes like on your wrist, and it's supposed to provide like acupuncture relief and supposed to help you with the motion sickness and stuff, or the queasiness. I wouldn't say I would purchase them, even though they're not really expensive, but it was kind of a waste of money. So around week 10, that kind of went away, along with like the night sickness, thank God. But then that was also the time when I started experiencing more severe back pain. Mind you, I had gotten diagnosed with lower back pain arthritis right before I got pregnant, so I knew that was going to be tough when I did get pregnant. And there was a time also whenever I just couldn't walk. Like I could feel it pinch really bad whenever I would walk. So I had to kind of calm down, slow down, and take it easy and rest for a few days because it was just impossible. I believe at the time I also used a heat pad to help me relieve some of the pain. But then around that time, I also started along with the back pain, it was getting harder and harder for me to lay on my back. I had to be very careful not to put any pressure in that area because it would just hurt extremely bad. So following that, I had to be cautious whenever I would turn because my back started to pop. And all of that had to do with the arthritis, really. I had been talking to my friend about it and just kind of, you know, letting her know how I was doing. Basically, that was like the main thing, just because it was so uncomfortable. And she told me about a body pillow. She told me, you know, when she has a baby already, he's not a baby anymore, but at the time of her pregnancy, she had gotten a body pillow and she loved it. And I was a little hesitant, and she actually ended up getting it for me. So thank you for doing that, because now I love it. So if you're pregnant or expecting and you're having similar issues, then I definitely recommend for you to get a body pillow, just because it helps you sleep better and make sure that we're aligned without the need of using a separate pillow. It's just one whole pillow basically for your head, and then it goes down. I like to put it like down in between my legs because your knees aren't really supposed to touch. You're supposed to be like aligned. So that has really helped. Around week 12, I started feeling like queasiness, some of that queasiness again. And then again, it was still like, it still is now hard for me to turn at night. So I have to be very careful. So at week 17 and 5 days, I got blood work done to test the protein levels in my blood. So I don't know the exact terms for it, but basically the blood work is done basically as a screening for neurotubal defects, I believe that's what it's called, such as spina bifida, which is whenever the spine doesn't form properly. So my blood work came back positive. So they called me in to go in for an ultrasound, and basically what they did is went in and checked the baby's spine just to make sure everything looked like it was forming properly, like he was growing properly. And as far as they could tell, he was. They didn't see anything of concern. So at that point, the doctor just told us that they were just going to continue to monitor me, and because of that, I was considered high risk. They didn't really know, you know, why it came back positive. They used kind of like a range, but that sometimes it's just comes back positive and the baby ends up being fine. She did ask me then when she was doing the ultrasound if I had had any spotting in the beginning, and I told her that I did. So at the very end, she told me that sometimes that could come back positive because maybe the baby could be growing just fine, but then at one point the placenta isn't growing along with it, or it's not functioning 100%. So that could also lead to an early delivery, which is why they were just going to make sure and monitor the growth of the baby. So as far as, again, we know now everything, thank God, is going fine with the baby. He's growing like he should be. He's actually, we found out at that appointment that he was in the 92nd percentile, and the doctor actually said we usually like them to be around 50. So that was a big shock. He was weighing approximately 9 ounces at that time, which I believe the average was like 4.2, 4.3. So nearly double. Also at that point, it was whenever I started noticing that I was getting stretch marks kind of like on the lower part of my stomach, which, to be honest, it wasn't something that I was really concerned about because I knew that it was likely for me to have stretch marks just because they run in my family. So I had learned to accept it. Now I am using like oils that I rub on my stomach, and that's just like to help with the fading, but I mean it's not a big deal. And so then around that time also is whenever I started getting sore feet. You know, like whenever you go shopping for a while, you're out shopping and you've worn the wrong kind of shoes, like that kind of soreness, that's the soreness that I feel. And mind you, my work demands me to be on my feet all day. However, I do wear proper shoes. And I was around week 17, and I guess, you know, with the baby being so big, I guess that's what contributes to my feet being so sore. And along with that, I started having groin pain, G-R-O-I-N, which is kind of like in between my legs, particularly at night whenever I would kind of like shift my legs, and then in the morning. I could feel it so bad in the morning. I was just so sore, like I could barely even walk. And I looked up kind of based on the little book that they gave me at the doctor's what to do or ways to relieve that kind of pain, and basically the first thing that it said was get off your feet. So I was like, well, that explains it because I'm on my feet all day. And then week 18 is whenever I started having heartburn at night. I was actually expecting that in the very beginning, but nope, it didn't come till week 18. And that was actually also the week that I felt the baby move for the very first time. And it was at night, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning or so. I couldn't fall asleep, and I could feel like little waves move. And I put my hand on my stomach, and it literally felt like a little arm or a little leg like rubbing up against my stomach. I remember waking up my husband and like telling him like, oh my gosh, I felt him move. And he was like, what? And then I think he tried to feel it, but he didn't move again. But yes, I was exactly 18 weeks and 4 days. So then kind of going into week 20, I continue to have sore feet. It's mainly been on the heel part of my feet, like the sides. It feels so good when my husband gives me a massage. Growing pain, I'm still having that as well. I think mornings are particularly difficult for me, where I just feel, I guess because my body has been resting throughout the night, and then I get up kind of like when you worked out, you know, that's how I feel, like that type of soreness. I'm still having some heartburn. At the time, it wasn't really associated to anything that I was eating. It would really just happen like at night is whenever it would happen, which I started taking Tums for, and they do definitely help. But sometimes I have to take like 2 or 3. That is what my symptoms of pregnancy have been throughout the first and part of the second trimester up until 20 weeks. I'm super excited, like I said, for our baby to arrive. The other day I was just thinking about him, and I got really anxious because I was like, I want him to be here already. Like, I just want to hold him and cuddle with him. So we really can't wait, and we feel so blessed that we're able to experience this. And I'm happy to share this with you guys. If there's any mommies or mommy-to-be out there that would like to connect with me on social media, I have that information down below. Before I forget, this is what my baby bump is looking like at 23 weeks. It is a pretty big baby. So yeah, this is what I look like. And if you're interested to see how the rest of the pregnancy goes for me, give this video a thumbs up so I can do another update for you guys, kind of like the second half of my pregnancy. And also, if you would like to just kind of follow me along in my daily, weekly, or monthly life, then I don't know if I mentioned it before, but my husband and I do have a vlog channel. So feel free to go check our channel out and subscribe. I'll leave the link down below or up here on the little eye so you can check that out. And if you have any questions or any advice that you'd like to share with me, don't forget to leave that in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.